Hey, welcome back to Always Learning. And what are we learning today? Today we're learning how to build a patio table. My wife wanted one that was 8 feet by 6 feet, so you could fit 2 people at the end and get 10 people around them. And she couldn't find one online that she liked, so we were able to build this for less than $1,000, and it's pretty much indestructible. And I'll show you kind of how we did it. So here's what the table is going to look like when it's done. At least part of it. First thing you're going to do is basically buy some steel. We used 1x3s, and then we used 1-inch angle iron for the cross pieces. So it's roughly 8 by 67 inches is the table. So we laid out the center. The top of it's going to overhang it a little bit, but we laid it as flat as we could. We 45 the ends because you would be able to see them. And then you simply just weld it. We welded the tops and the bottoms, and then we welded the sides standing up. Here's Craig welding it, and then he actually let me weld one of the sides. I was on the phone most of the time, so Craig ended up doing probably 90% of this project. Unfortunately, I was kind of pumped about it, but unfortunately, he ended up doing most of it. And Pat helped a little too, but it's just a lot of cutting and a lot of welding, and a lot of grinding. So we got to lay it out, we got a thing, and then you were grinding it all smooth. Once we got the top frame, then we attached the legs, and then once we got the legs attached to the top piece, we went ahead and put cross beams at the end to kind of stabilize it a little bit, and then we came across the middle. You can see here we came across the very middle of it, and we actually put a square in there, which a big enough tube that your umbrella can go through. We'll make a hole in the top of the table, and then we made that little round thing, square thing at the middle, so you could put a peg through it. Then we simply measured the 1-inch angle iron, and Craig took them home and actually drilled with a drill press, drilled all the holes across, so it was literally every foot. So that way we've got screws, we've got beams going across every foot to help keep those, even though they're very dense and very heavy polywood, they're still going to flex a little bit. So we wanted to make sure they didn't. And so here's the finished table with the cross pieces all in, with the holes in them ready to screw. This is what the table is going to look like when it's done.
You don't really need this cross piece across the middle. We did it so we could put a square tube big enough that we could run the umbrella down and then use a bolt to pin it so it wouldn't spin in the wind. And you can see here it's big enough for really any umbrella. There's the bolt laying below it, and then we cut with a hole saw at the top, so the umbrella just slides down in there, slides right into the square tubing, and then you can bolt it so it won't spin in the wind and keep it from going. So just wanted to point that out and show you to it. This is pretty clever. My brother-in-law, he actually made feet that the steel could sit on so it doesn't sit in the water and rust out of that polywood that slide up into the 1x3 tubes. So if you're good with a saw, you can probably grind that down and get that made as well. But those were pretty cool and a nice little added feature.
So I got this polywood at Menards, and it was $64 for a 2x10x8. But this stuff is heavy. It's 18 inches, weighs about 20 pounds, so it is dense. We actually had to borrow a buddy's chop saw that slides so it could do the length of the diagonal cuts. And so we bought him a new saw blade because it's probably going to ruin his saw blade. So we cut through and angled the corners because we're going to do a picture frame for the edges, and then we're going to come across and actually just then cut the others straight. The reason we picture framed it is because if you look at it's got little pockets at the end, and that's not really attractive, so we wanted to hide that. So anything you cut straight, you're going to see that. And so that's why we did the picture frame around the outside, so there'd be no open exposed edge of where we cut. And then to do the corners, we actually used pocket screws to make sure that we got a really good tight corner where those wouldn't flare up, and it would be smooth for eternity, so we wouldn't have to do it. So as you can see, they look really good. once again, Mr. Miller. Once we got the outer perimeter laid out and attached to the base with screws, we just kept screwing about every foot going across, make sure that there was screws in every board to hold that tight and flush so it wouldn't move. And as you can see, it looks really good. We put a spacer to make sure we had space for water when it rained to get out. And there it is. There is the final product. Pretty happy with how it turned out. We've had some 60-mile-an-hour winds come through there, and that thing is not moving. It's about 520 pounds we calculated. It took 6 people to move with 2x4s underneath the steel base to make sure, because you don't want to lift on the polywood or it's going to tear it. But anyway, special thanks to Craig Miller for making this happen and making it look so professional. But again, it cost us about $1,000, and it's not going anywhere. Thanks for watching.